Welcome, everyone, to Late Night Friday Night, Young at Heart. I'm Father James DeLucio here in the Paulist Father Rectory Library, as is my wont, as I desire to share with you nursery rhymes, stories, songs, poems, Mother Goose, Aesop's fables, limericks, larks, Lewis Carroll, and such. I changed the order. Did you catch that? To keep us all young at heart. Tonight's selection, The Pied Piper of Hamelin by Robert Browning. However, it's abridged by my own volition because you don't like these things to go on too long, I hear. Catherine. I was inspired by a discussion I had on the phone with my friend Margaret. I somehow always make Margaret laugh, and that's one of the most fun things that I can do in reaching out to a friend to get them to laugh. Am I making you laugh too? I hope so. You know, the other day I put on a black mask and I opened my eyes wide and the mask was pulling my ears out like this. And who do I look like? I might even look like now to you, although I don't have the black mask. I look like Dopey. You know, Dopey. The beloved dwarf of Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. What do you look like with your mask on and your ears bulging out? Here's the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Excerpts for Catherine's sake. Hamelin Towns in Brunswick, by famous Hanover City. The river Weser, deep and wide, washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you never spied, but when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so from vermin, it was a pity. Rats. They fought the dogs and killed the rats. No, and killed the cats. And bit the babies in the cradles and ate the cheeses out of the vats and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles. They split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests inside men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning their speaking with shrieking and squeaking and 50 different sharps and flats. At last the people in a body to the town hall came flocking. "'Tis clear," cried they, "our mayor's a noddy. And as for our corporation, shocking to think we buy gowns lined with ermine for dolts that can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of these vermin. You hope, because you're old and obese, to find in the furry civic robe ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking to remedy what we're lacking, or sure as fate we'll send you packing." At this, the mayor and corporation quaked with mighty consternation. An hour they sate in council. At length the mayor broke silence. "For a guilder I'd my ermine gown sell. I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one to rack one's brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I've scratched it so, and all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap." Just as he said this, what should hap at the chamber door but a gentle tap? "Bless us!" cried the mayor. "What's that?" With the corporation as he sat, looking little though wondrous fat, nor brighter was his eye, nor moister than a too long-opened oyster, save when at noon his paunch grew mutinous for a plate of turtle green so glutinous. Only a scraping of shoes on the mat. Anything like the sound of a rat. It makes my heart go pit-a-pat. "Come in," the mayor cried, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His queer long coat from heel to head was half of yellow and half of red, and he himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes, each like a pin, and light loose hair, yet swarthy skin, no tuft on cheek nor beard on chin, but lips where smiles went out and in. There was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire the tall man and his quaint attire. Quoth one, "It's as my great-grandsire, starting up at the trump of doom's tone, had walked this way from his painted tombstone." The man advanced to the council table. "And please your honors," said he, "I'm able by means of a secret charm to draw all creatures living beneath the sun after me, so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm. The mole and toad and newt and viper, and people call me the Pied Piper." And here they noticed round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe, to match with his coat of the same cheek, and at the scarf's end hung a pipe, and his fingers, they noticed, were ever straying, as if impatiently to be playing upon his pipe, as low as it dangled over his vesture so old-fangled. "Yet," said he, "poor piper I am. In Tartary I freed the Cham last June from his huge swarm of gnats. I eased in Asia the Nizam of a monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as for what your brain bewilders, if I can rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders?" "One? 50,000!" was the exclamation of the astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe the while. Then, like a musical adept to blow the pipe, his lips he wrinkled, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame when salt is sprinkled, and ere 3 shrill notes the pipe uttered, you heard as if an army muttered, and the muttering grew to a grumbling, and the grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses the rats came tumbling. Great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, gray rats, tawny rats, grave old plodders, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cucking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, followed the piper. Brothers, sisters, husbands, wives followed the piper for their lives, from street to street, his pipe advancing, and step by step they followed dancing, until they came to the river West, wherein all plunged and perished, save one. Stout as Julius Caesar, he swam across the river, and lived to carry, as his manuscript he cherished, to Ratland home he offered his commentary. And I will skip this part, but the rat pretty much reiterates what you've just heard with the ingenious view of a rat's perspective. And so it happens. Now, the piper goes to get paid. The piper must be paid. I wonder if this came from Robert Browning's poem, or Robert Browning got the idea from that saying, the piper must be paid. One of the morals of the story is, please pay your piper. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. First, if you please, my 1,000 guilders, the piper said. Said he. 1,000 guilders? The mayor looked blue. So did the corporation, too, for council dinners made rare havoc with claret, Moselle, vin de Grave, hock, and half the money would replenish their cellars' biggest, but with Rhenish. To pay this sum to a wandering fellow with a gypsy coat of red and yellow? Beside, quoth the mayor with a knowing wink, our business was done at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes the vermin sink, and what's dead can't come to life, I think. So, friend, we're not the folks to shrink from the duty of giving you something to drink, and a matter of money to put in your poke. But as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you very well know, it was a joke. Besides, our losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders. Come, take 50. The piper's face fell, and he cried, no trifling. No trifling. I can't wait. Besides, I promised to visit by dinner time Baghdad and accept the prime of the head cook's pottage, all he's rich in, for having left in the caliph's kitchen of a nest of scorpions no survivor with him. I proved no bargain driver. With you don't think I'll bait a stiver, and folks who put me in a passion may find my pipe put to another fashion. How? Cried the mayor. Do you think I'll brook being worse treated than a cook? Insulted by a lazy ribald with idle pipe and vesture piebald, you threaten us, fellow? Do your worst, blow your pipe until you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe of smooth, straight cane, and ere he blew 3 notes, such sweet, soft notes as yet musician's cunning never gave the enraptured air. There was a rustling, there came a bustling of a merry crowd, justling at pitching and hustling. Small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, and little tongues chattering, and like fowls in a farmyard when barley is scattering. Out came the town's children running, all the little boys and girls with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls, tripping and skipping, ran merrily after the wonderful music, with shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb, and the council stood as if they were changed into blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry to the children merrily skipping by, and could only follow with the eye that joyous crowd at the piper's back. But how the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council's bosoms beat, as the piper turned from the high street to where the Weser rolled its waters, right in the way of their sons and daughters. However, he turned from south to west, and to Kopelberg Hill his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed. Great was the joy in every child's breast. Well, he never can cross that mighty top. He's forced to let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stop. I'll insert, that was the mayor. When lo, as they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hallowed, and the piper advanced, the children followed. And when all were in to the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No. One was lame, and could not dance the whole of the way, and in after years, if you would blame his sadness, he used to say, "It's dull in our town since my playmates left. I can't forget, I'm so bereft of all the pleasant sights that the children see, which the piper also promised me. For he led us, he said, to a joyous land, joining the town, and just at hand where waters gushed and fruit trees grew and flowers put forth a fairer hue, and everything was strange and new. The sparrows were brighter than peacocks here, and their dogs outran our fallow deer, and honeybees had lost their sting, and horses were born with eagle's wings. And just as I became assured my lame foot would be speedily cured, the music stopped, and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left alone against my will, to go now limping as before, and never hear of that country any more. Alas, alas for Hamelin! There came into many a burgher's pate a text which says, that heaven's gate opes to the rich at as easy rate as the needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor sent east, west, north, and south to offer the piper by word of mouth whatever it was men's lot to find him, silver and gold, to their heart's content, if he'd only return from the way he went and bring the children back behind him. But when they saw 'twas a lost endeavor, and piper and dancers were gone forever, they made a decree that lawyers never should think their records dated duly if, after the day of the month and a year, these words did not as well appear. And so long after what happened here on the 22nd of July, 1376, and the better in memory to fix the place of the children's last retreat, we shall call it now the Pied Piper's Street, where anyone playing on pipe or tabor was sure for the future to lose his labor, nor suffered they hostelry or tavern to shock with mirth a streak so solemn, but opposite the place of the cavern they wrote on a column, and on the great church window painted the same, to make the world acquainted how their children were stolen away. And there it stands to this very day. Now, in the book where I first encountered this poem, it was in a set of books that my parents blessed us with. We had been given, it must have been for Christmas, a set of World Book encyclopedias, which are very popular for kids in grammar and high school. But with it came an extra set, a collection of books called Childcraft. Perhaps you too may have encountered the World Book encyclopedias and the Childcraft set. And it dealt with all kinds of things good for kids. There was science and myths and excerpts from various literature. But my favorite was the first, which was folk tales and fairy tales and poems and songs and such. And the Pied Piper was in that. But in the version that I recall from childhood, that's where it ended. But there's a little epilogue. and at risk of trying your patience. I want to read that to you. Oh, how did that happen? Did I just go black for a moment? I went black on my screen. Well, one never knows. This is how the actual poem ends, and you might like this more than the last ending. And I must not omit to say that in Transylvania there's a tribe of alien people that ascribe the outlandish ways and dress on which their neighbors lay such stress to their fathers and mothers, having risen out of some subterranean prison into which they were trepanned long time ago in a mighty band out of Hamelin town in Brunswick land. But how or why, they don't understand. Did you get that? Their fathers and mothers, to their fathers and mothers, having risen out of some subterraneous prison, came an alien people outlandishly dressed in red and yellow is the implication. The children resurrected. They did come out of their cave, but they were given to another town, to a people more worthy of them, to a people who would be more honest and agree to pay the piper. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for those who follow Luke Live Online for giving me that Tuesday night off, which I just took, recovering from Holy Week. I hope your Holy Week was beautiful. I hope this week was even better. The first week, the octave of Easter. Keep those Paschal candles lit, and God bless you all. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a good night. See you next Tuesday for Luke Live, where we'll explore what does Jesus mean when he says, stop judging, and you will not be judged. Ponder that. Until next time, take good care. Wear your masks when you go out, please, even if you've had the shots of vaccines. And write a comment or two. It's always grand to hear from you. Good night, everyone.